Okay, a very good morning to everyone. I welcome you to our morning talk, Change Now, Get Ready for Circularity. Today I've got three interesting people with me. Joanna Drake, your Deputy General Secretary of the DG Environment of the EU Commission. Then we have Thomas Kyriakis, a board member of the Schwarz group. That is Lidl, Kaufland, PreZero, and we have got Ulrich Reifenhäuser. He's the chairman of the VDMA Plastics and Rubber Machines. He is the president of K, and he is managing partner of the Reifenhäuser group. Welcome. Mrs. Drake, you could experience maybe a little bit that we are in a very focused topic here on K-Show. The topic is circular economy. We are facing a real difficult situation right now with all the images going on with plastics, and we want to have this change. We want to go into circularity. We need this, but as it looks, we still got some difficulties in pushing up the recyclates in new products. One of the reasons is that recyclates are much more expensive than new material. We need also to have changes in the system, and the European Commission is on its way. It's got a new green agenda. Could you tell us a little bit how do you want to tackle this issue?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm really happy to be here on a very focused area, which I would say is really at the core of the transition to sustainability from linear to circular models of the economy. And I say this with a very clear mind, because in your question you seem to have a bit of a hesitation regarding the image of the plastic industry out there as opposed to what should be happening for a sustainable future. Whereas in fact my vision is, and I've spent yesterday evening and this morning already outlining where we have got to already together with the plastics industry. In other words, what I'm saying is that I think you have already much embraced it in the plastic industry as to where we have to go in terms of circularity. And in fact, most of the solutions are being worked together with the industry and the stakeholders. Doesn't mean this is easy. What I mean to say is that two things. One is, where have we got to already now? I don't think that even 3 years ago, I would say people out there knew what circularity means in terms of transition. Today, I think more and more people know what it means thanks to what you are doing in your industry as well regarding recyclability, for instance. I think one of the signs that people already identify with a lot is the recyclable sign on many of the plastic packaging, for instance, or not, whether it's recyclable or not. Secondly, I would say we are tackling the pollution side, and this we have been doing as well with you and with wide consultation on the 10 products that really do a lot of damage to the oceans. And this is where most of the negativity with plastics comes in. And I would say as well that, you know, having looked at what the Waste Packaging Directive already says in terms of targets, trying to get there is going to also help us work together more to the next step. So what do I mean by all this? We have achieved a lot already together. There has been already a target of putting much more recycled content into new products on the market with the European Plastic Alliance. In other words, 10 million tons a year. This is a target that has already been reached by the end of last year, and we want to continue like this until 2025, which means that you're already part of the solution. I think you're going to be an even bigger part of the solution if we find ways together of how to tackle the next steps. Now, what are the next steps? The next steps, I would say, are threefold. One of them, I think, we are in a situation of evolution where we need to have consciously many more decisions made at the concept and pre-design stage of where we're going to go end of life of any plastic product or packaging in this way. So that is the one thing that we need to concentrate much more going forward in the Circular Economy Action Plan that Commission President-designate Mrs. von der Leyen has already outlined as being her main deliverable, if you like, in the Green Agenda, which is basically a circular economy where we have many more circular products around us, available, affordable, I would say, and really telling an honest picture of what the product is. Why? Because we need more take-up of those products by the recyclers themselves. In other words, they need to trust that whatever is in the original product is really trustworthy, it's high quality, and is going to help them produce even better quality products as recyclers. Now, that is the first thing. I think the second thing is that we need to take more and more the consumers with us and those who procure goods and services to make it more attractive for them to actually opt for content or services with recycled material in it. And this, what I mean to say is that, for instance, for consumers, I think we need to give them much more information as to the choices they have and also the solutions they have of where to put their products for collection, for separation, what to do with them, what incentives are we going to create for them, but also for the procurers in order, for the public money that is spent in the regions and the local areas and the local governments and also in the main central governments to go much more for this sort of business. And I think that is a huge incentive also for the industry, let's face it, and for innovators. The third part is, I think we need to respect much more what the waste hierarchy says. And what does the waste hierarchy, if you look at it as a pyramid, the top part of the pyramid says, ideally, we should prevent waste in the first place. Now, this is, again, where maybe the plastic industry needs a bit of I would say, image correction to be done vis-a-vis the public, because I think in many people's minds, they see their bag of plastic packaging filling up. They say, "Oh, this is because of the plastic industry." Well, in the first place, I think the plastic industry could be actually. My vision is that it will be a front runner in actually helping the prevention of waste in the first place. Now, of course, how do you do this? I think. It is the challenge that we need going forward, and we do it by actually you yourselves being much more aware of, in designing new products, what is going to help this product actually have a longer life and be actually a resource, a secondary resource later on, and therefore we want to make sure that whatever goes into the product at the design stage is actually at least recyclable up to a certain good percentage. For a secondary use. So that's the design side. But also I would say we need to be more participatory and more fair with these designers, in other words, to the industry, in the way that they themselves then would have to procure the extended producer responsibility schemes. In other words, in order to induce the collection, induce the recycling of the materials. And I would say we need to be fair with them going forward by having what is called the eco-modular type of tariff structure. In other words, if your design from the beginning is already sustainable, then you should pay much less.
Thank you very much. There was a full load of examples already, Thomas Kyriakis. Looking at recyclates in new plastic materials, let's look at plastic packaging. How do you, as a Schwarz Group, deal with this? Because you have had this green agenda, I think, long before on a European level we had a strategy or whatever. So what do you focus on?
As you mentioned before, Schwarz Group is Lidl and Kaufland. So as the biggest retailer in Europe, fourth biggest in the world, we very well know that we are part of the problem when it comes to packaging, plastics and everything. So we started 10 years ago with a business unit, formally started from a cost perspective when it comes to waste management. Today it's a standalone company with Green Cycle and Pre-Zero, where we try to close loops, where we try to analyze how can we give a second life to plastics, to packaging, put it in new packaging again. So as you mentioned, one of it long time ago is our PET bottle, our water bottle, where we, with a deposit system in Germany, get all the PET bottles back again, and we put it all in again in our new bottles. So for the moment, we are in an average of 60% of recycled content in our water bottles. Some of them are already at 100%, and there we are still going, developing, so that we can put it up. But again, there, it needs regulations, it needs quality standards when it comes to recycled content, what we can do into food packaging again. Today, we have the EFSA, you know it, we are only allowed to put 5% out of non-food materials in recycling content into food packaging. There we have to work, and the competition this time, when we talk about retail, it's competition with competitors, but this time I don't think it's a competition against each other, it's a competition against time when it comes to closing the loop to recycling, and there we all have to stand together with politics, with industry, with NGOs, and with retailers and producers, so that we can scale it up there and go into new products.
One question. Joanna Drake, 5% of recyclates in packaging for food. How do you want to achieve to have this big amount of recyclates in packaging?
Naturally, this is food packaging is a very complex issue.
Yes.
It's not something
yeah.
that one can just, look at, very simplistically and naively. So we have to acknowledge that. On the other hand, I think there is huge opportunity going forward in what I've just mentioned to look into how we can do this, especially from the composite side of the packaging for food. In the essential requirements revision, what do I mean? There is a directive, the packaging waste directive, which we will be looking at, and we have to look at by the end of next year, December 2020. And by the way, this was asked by the member states and asked by the parliament for us to do, so we're undergoing some technical studies at the moment. And I think there is an opportunity for us to also look at this, at how we can incentivize a higher percentage of recyclates in food packaging. Okay. I think that's the opportunity. But this is work in progress.
Okay. Ulrich Reifenhäuser, you're very committed to a circular economy. Although, I would say, you're a machine manufacturer, you're a family-owned business, and I could say, those machines are not at the bottom of the sea. So why are you so engaged?
Because the plastic industry, has got a very, very heavy problem. And how heavy is the problem? Easy question. It's 50 to 60 million plastic packages waste in the nature, in the environment. And honestly speaking, this is your nature, this is our nature, and this is my nature. And who can change this? It's the plastic industry. So I'm really very, very engaged. Can I, as a machine producer, do major and strong steps? Yes, we can. But it has to be in combination with the players in this game. And there has to be the resin producers, machine producers, is the processors, the brand owners, and politics. And if there is a common and strong partnership, then we can achieve some very, very good results. And I can tell you, not only Reifenhäuser, but also many exhibitors on K-Show will show up with some marvelous solutions. So we, for example, will show up with a product that was not recyclable, stand-up pouches, and now we have a product that is recyclable. Wow! And these stand-up pouches is a very, very, very big portion of plastic packages. And
so what have you done?
We made a project, and we talked to a customer who had an idea, and we thought about new technology. And then we started to make research and development. Then we involved a big resin producer, and so we had a team. Then we designed and invented a new technology to stretch PE film and to come close to stretched PET. And then we laminated, and then we made pouches. With these pouches, we went, and this is all done in Vietnam, we went to Unilever Vietnam. I said, come on, this is the pouches what our customer delivered it before. Now see this. And what happens? Yes, functionality of the pouch, of the old pouch was like this, was 100.
Yeah.
A new functionality of our pouch was like 85.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say 50 would be good enough. Below, not good enough, but good, very good. Not excellent, but very good. Second, the pricing of the pouches were also 100, and now, oops, it's on 107. That's how it is. But first pouch, no non-recyclability, this 100% perfect recyclable. And even recyclable to a perfect fraction, so that this PE, pure PE pouch, could be easily, and this is what we do, then return as recycled in the PE pouch.
Okay, so that was a project with a resin manufacturer and you together and solving this issue.
Brand owner,
yes,
all together. And then you are really strong and fast and precise.
Okay.
And this is what we are doing.
Thomas Kyriakis, I think it's a very good idea to, as a Schwarz group, to have a recycler board. This seems to be part of your concept, how you close the loop. Can you say a little bit about PreZero and how does this work together? Is this open for others or is it a closed thing for the Schwarz group? Is this a role model? How does this work?
As I said before, we started it as a single business unit within the logistics department, just for cost savings. Then it grew up. We saw that we have huge amounts of packaging, cardboard, plastics and everything. So we learned a lot from the market. And then we started to go first steps outside of the company with third-party partners. Mm-hmm. And today we are fifth biggest waste management company in Germany. So we are open for the market, yes. And that's why we can do that what we're doing with closing the loops. So we are not looking within the Schwarz group, that's one thing, but we're also looking into the market, into politics. Where can we do projects together? Where can we go the next step? Where can we close intelligent loops? So not only putting the plastic in a bobby car or in a bank or whatever, what else, but go into plastic packaging. So Green Cycle is a waste management company worldwide. We're also doing some business in the US. We are trying to screen the market in Asia, but mainly we are focused in Europe for the moment. So we do everything from collecting, from sorting, from palletizing or granulating, and then with partnerships with the industry go into new products or packaging again.
Joanna Drake just mentioned that the new EU strategy paper foresees a sizing up of the input of recyclates in new products from 2.5 million tons today to 10 million tons, so 4 times. Is this possible also for your business?
That's something we support when it comes to putting more into the products. And yes, it works because we saw it in the past. In the beginning, it costs money. You have to invest. You have to think about it. But then, when you can scale it up, it is working. So what we say is, we don't think that taxes or bans are helpful. We have to think it in a holistic approach. So get everyone on board, look what we can do, and then see how we can cope with the figures which are wanted. It is working. We can see it with the bottle we are selling at the moment or we are producing. We started from 15-20%, now we're at 60%. But again there, in Germany, it's easy now. We have a deposit system, we have the hand on the material, we have the input material, we have to see how we can incentivize people or customers to bring back material again, by incentives, by deposit systems. So if you want to put more recycled content into packaging or into products, we also have to get the material in to use it and to work with it.
If I
Sure.
Just, because on reflection to what these two gentlemen have just said, I find it, first of all, what they say very inspiring. But I would also like to underline a couple of points. One is, I think, this business model, it's very inspiring to say that it started off, from a unit within a big company, and now it is a company by itself. It means that is the future. I think going forward, the business models, when we talk about circular economy, we say it's just that looking at something that you have been doing all the time, but with different eyes, because you say it's simply not business as usual anymore, because the circumstances have changed. So I think what the gentleman have just said, I think is really something to be taken note of, from established businesses to semi-established businesses, and also to startups. I think this is the great opportunity going forward as well. Secondly, I would say let's not underestimate the big surge there is from the public to actually have solutions. And I'm talking about public as in normal citizens who are at home, presented with the responsibility of separating their waste, of making sure that they are contributing. They feel that from their home, they're contributing to this big global challenge of reducing emissions, of not causing plastic pollution in the oceans, of reusing stuff and reusing our resources. So there's a huge demand for solutions. People hear about the problems all the time, but they really want to be part of that solution. And think of it from the business perspective. You are sitting between this person at home looking for a solution to actually the solution itself, and the big noble, shall we say, objectives of the global planet. So I think going forward, the trust of the product itself is really an important issue. Let's not play with that. Let's really give a good product from the beginning that's trustworthy to stay on for a longer time than it was originally envisaged, because things have simply changed in the words in how we are conscious about it. So the trust and the quality of the product and the quality of the recyclates is really, really important. This is what has been also been outlined, and I think this is an important consideration business-wise.
That's very interesting. You're actually now missionizing us. We are very convinced of plastics. Okay, my last question to all of you. If you had a choice, a demand for each other, what, for example, would you want from the political side to happen, and also vice versa? What would you like to have from the industry? Yes, please.
Yes, I would like, as we explained, here's the strong willingness, here's the potential, and I would like to see politics take a very, very strong part. So yes, we have the EU thoughts that till 2030, 100% should be recyclable, 50% recycled, 50% recycled in the products, and then the sorting systems, and then the education of all this. This is fine. So then what I would like to see and to hear is national laws, binding, strong national laws to make things really move. Why not say every, and if you say every, okay, there are some that's out of every, but this has to be defined, first of all, everything in, and everything has to contain recyclates in the package. Has to, full stop. Who has not is really fined by 100% of the production costs. Something like this. And then the speed of circular economy will pick up dramatically. And why to do so? We are in competition. And honestly speaking, I talked about the game, and we have the players. Game sounds funny, it's not funny. This is the game of top material for packages. And for the last 50 years, we were the champions. If we lose this game of circular economy, we have to leave this league of top suppliers for packaging. And we go second or third league. Do we want this? Have we a solution, and have we the power to stay there with circular economy? Yes, we do have. But politicians really have to come up with some strong laws and to make things happen. Solutions are there, willingness is there, And but if you just leave it and say, yes, in 2030 we should, that would be a good idea, sorry, blah, blah, no good enough. Just make it 2023. Has to be, boom, like this and this and this.
If I may add this, and I think it's very important to have this on a European level and not leave it to, you know, some countries just marching ahead, because then we are really lost.
Yes, yes and no, but this is like in big family. If you have only two and you decide for a holiday, okay, 5 minutes discussion, and you say, okay, is Mallorca. But if all your kids and family and blah, 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 and 23 have to decide where to go, you never come a solution. And I think somehow, like in the European Union, in the commissions and all that, so I think we should have the very strong and decisive companies like Germany, like Scandinavia, like Holland, and do it there, and just do it, and be successful, and come up with a recycling rate of 6%, and boom, 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 are on 12, are on 17, are on 19. And then the Commission should go to, okay, different companies and countries and say, guys, you're sleeping. What are you doing? Look what these guys do, what these countries do. More action. And this is somehow, middle class, how we do our business in middle-sized companies is come on, just do it. And on the way, if you see, it's not that right, stop, do a little right turn, and then continue.
Yeah, Ulrich, your point
important.
is very clear. Thank you very much for that, Thomas Kyriakis.
Yeah, Dr. Drake said it. We have to have trust in the product we produce and in the granulate. Mr. Reifenhäuser said we have to have binding national laws. That means we have to put in place a quality standards for our granulate, for the material we are using, level playing field standards, each for everyone, so that we can go the next step and then use the materials we have. And again there, it's EFSA, I said it before, we have to use more material, we have to put the standards in place. And if we can do that, and then go the next step and go into new packaging and new products, then plastic is not bad, then it's useful because of food safety and health issues.
Okay, thank you. Joanna Drake.
What you want me to tell you, what we want more from the industry? My goodness, help us be even more ambitious. And I tell you, we do set the targets. I mean, the European Commission is the one that wants to set the targets all the time, you know, with deadlines. We have done so with the packaging directive just now, with the single-use plastics on cans and bottles, plastic bottles. There are the targets there about the content of recycled materials. But I tell you, most of the time, it's the governments of the member states who always want to tell us, but you know, maybe industry is not prepared, and maybe we can't enforce, and then we have to start the compromises. So really and truly, you know, we want you to help us be more ambitious, and you know what I mean by that. So, and on just as a matter of information, it was rightly mentioned, you know, shouldn't we be pushing those member states who are sleeping? I tell you, we do it. We do it on air quality, we do it with water quality, we do it with the waste directives. We have been on a tour in all the member states with the governments and telling them, look, if you're not going to get your act together by December, in January or February, we're having a case in court. And of course you say, yeah, but they still continue to do what they like. People don't want that. What's the point about going to court, being there for 5-6 years, at the end of which they pay a fine, and still we're getting piles of rubbish here and there, and you know, it's not rightly disposed of. A court, it's true, it's not the best solution, but we want to engage with them to say, you know what, in Germany they got it right. In Sweden, they got it right. Why don't you adapt their example to your reality and just go ahead? So we're doing and playing these psychological games as well, I want to assure you, together with the court cases and the fines, of course.
We have got a couple of very dedicated people in our board. We will be in Brussels on December 4, and if you invite us, we would be there and we would talk to you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the talk, and thank you very much for listening. And I wish all of you a really very good, fantastic, successful K. Thank you.
Thank you.